Did you know there was a Shaman King sequel anime starring Yo and Anna's kid? Unless you're a hardcore Shaman King fan, I'm willing to bet you did not know that, and I can't blame you. I always liked Shaman King. If you grew up like me with Digimon and Power Rangers on Saturday mornings in the early 2000s, you probably encountered the show and its all-time great English dub opening. The series itself was incredibly compelling, a shonen battle anime involving spirits clashing, ghosts possessing humans, and transmuting weapons. With its manga debuting in 1998, this spiritual battle anime was years ahead of Bleach and decades ahead of Jujutsu Kaisen. Shaman King even got an anime reboot in 2021 and a sequel anime in 2024 based off a 2012 manga. So you might be wondering why you've never heard anyone talk about it. While writing this video, I came across the CBR headline, "Shaman King is the unluckiest shonen franchise ever," and I think they may be spot on. This video is me talking you through and reviewing Shaman King Flowers, the direct sequel to the show from our childhood, but I'll also dive into the decades of bad luck Shaman King has had in both its manga and animation outings. Shaman King Flowers is the follow-up to the original series, set roughly 15 years after the Shaman King finale and starring Hana, the son of Yo and Anna. Much like his missing parents, Hana is in tune with the spirits and is able to commune with them as a bridge between the living world and the beyond. Amidamaru, the 600-year-old samurai who partnered with Yo in the original series, now accompanies his son. This is fun, as if Amidamaru has become something of a guardian spirit to the Asakura family. Hana is not his father though, apart from the way they dress. Hana is hot-headed and borderline sadistic, eager to fight and willing to inflict pain on his enemies. It's in major contrast to Yo, who was a pacifist and easily one of Shonen Jump's most peaceful protagonists. Hana's temper is explored throughout the 13-episode series, but a large part of his angst comes from his absent parents. Yo and Anna are not present in the show, save for flashbacks and spirit versions of their younger selves, and if I'm being honest, the format is a little played out at this point. It's that Yashahime problem where they kind of have to write Inuyasha out of the show, otherwise the older and more experienced character could easily resolve every conflict. But as a viewer, all we want to see is Inuyasha and Kagome interact with their child. We want to see Yo and Anna interact with their teenage son. After an opening confrontation that is more or less a remix of the first confrontation from Shaman King, we meet Hana's fiancée, Alumi, the daughter of Silva and student of Anna. Her design is fantastic. It's obviously a play on Anna's original look, but whereas Yo was happy-go-lucky and Anna was all serious, Hana is the grouch and Alumi is far kinder. Now, if you haven't read or watched Shaman King since the early 2000s and jumped into Flowers decades later, the way the new story mirrors the original is kind of cool. But if you watched that anime reboot that came just before the new series, it can feel a little too samey, at least in these opening beats. Thankfully though, things start to deviate with Flowers throwing me for a few loops. And the biggest shakeup of all, Amidamaru is separated, petrified in his spirit ball form, and stolen. So now we've got a young shaman with no spirit. Without Amidamaru, Hana gets his butt kicked in a mid-season battle, and while on the brink of death, unlocks this berserker demon form, a suit of armor that, without getting too into the weeds, was gifted to him by his uncle Hao as a last-ditch survival tool. The form itself is sick and incredibly powerful, and it makes it seem as though Amidamaru was less of a power-up for Hana and more of a power limiter, something that prevented him from reaching near-death experiences, therefore preventing him from discovering the dormant demon form. This concept is awesome. I love the idea that what was Yo's buff is Hana's nerf, and because he is the son of Yo and Anna, Hana can commune with not just spirits but also demons slash oni or ogres, and is just this weapon of mass destruction when left unchecked. That's where his fiancée Alumi comes back into the equation. She is one of the only ones that can suppress the demon form and return Hana to his senses. So far, so great, and at this point in the series, around episode 7, I was thoroughly enjoying the fresh spin on Shaman King. The new show's 13-episode length was a large part of why I decided to watch it, and I assumed the intentionally short story was at its halfway point. I assumed wrong, but we'll get to that soon. We learn we're gearing up for the Flower of Maize, a sort of Shaman King battle royale where other gods will have a chance to dethrone the current god, Hao, through their shaman warriors. Hana, Alumi, and their new allies will one day fight in the Flower of Maize on behalf of Hana's uncle. Emphasis on one day. Again, we'll get to it. Hana somewhat dies around episode 9, and after an exciting but visually underwhelming battle with a younger version of his dad, is sent to a mini hell. This battle with Yo had the opportunity to be a blowout moment in terms of animation, you know, the past and present protagonists, father and son battling inside the Great Spirit, but it all fell very flat. It underscored and highlighted how, unfortunately, the action choreography is not particularly strong in the Flowers anime. Moment to moment, it's a good looking show with an art style I like, full of interesting fighters and weapons, but I can't recall a single battle that impressed me. Inside the purgatory-like mini-hell, Hana finds himself on a beach during World War II, where he meets the crash-landed kamikaze pilot Sakutaro Sakurai. This premise instantly skyrockets to one of the coolest things Flowers has to offer. Hana has to help Sakurai understand that he's died, that they're in a hell based around his final moments, and we get a ton of beautiful dialogue between a long-dead World War II soldier and a boy from the post-war future he never got to see. It becomes clear that with Amidamaru gone, they are setting up the kamikaze pilot to be Hana's spirit ally. This goes incredibly hard. Yo was partnered with a 600-year-old samurai, and here's Hana with an 80-year-old kamikaze fighter. Both have their unique places in Japanese history, both highlight the differences between Yo and Hana. It's just so good. Hana learns that Sakurai is not the nihilist killer that the other soldiers all thought he was, and that he had been fighting for someone when he died. Through this journey that Hao constructed for him, Hana learns why he should fight, not rage or a blind thirst for blood, but for love. And then the show ends? That's right, that was episode 13, and Shaman King Flowers is over now. You see, dear viewer, the Flowers manga was abruptly cancelled when the magazine it was published in, Jump X, was cancelled in 2014, and it had nowhere to go. So the story truly just stops, and the show didn't present any sort of anime-only ending, and unlike how Flowers was announced immediately after the 2021 Shaman King reboot ended, 1 year detached from the Flowers finale, we have zero word on a continuation anime. In the manga world, Hiroyuki Takei released Shaman King the Superstar in 2018, 4 years after Flowers' cancellation, and it's meant to serve as a continuation of the main Shaman King story. But for anime-only folks, if you want to know how the story ends, you are out of luck. Going back to that statement about Shaman King being the most unlucky shonen anime, let me run you through the greatest hits again. The manga starts in 1998, so far so good. In 2001 it gets an anime adaptation, but since the manga is not yet complete, the TV anime quickly outpaces the manga and comes up with an anime original back half that most fans really don't care for. 20 years later, a reboot anime debuts, and with the manga having concluded 15 years ago, fans think this will finally be the definitive Shaman King anime that gets it right. Only it rushes through the content at a lightning fast pace that left first-time viewers confused and had manga readers mad about all the cuts and poor explanations of key moments. Also, at least in the West, Netflix handled the distribution of Shaman King 2021, but instead of releasing it weekly, they made this bizarre call to release the show in chunks of 12 or so episodes. This slowly killed all momentum for the series in a way that Digimon fans will be all too familiar with if they remember the painfully slow rollout of Digimon Adventure Tri. Then, when the reboot finally ends, the sequel anime Flowers arrives, except a ton of people have given up on Shaman King, me being one of them. I did not watch Flowers when it debuted because I was exhausted, burnt out on trying to keep up with Shaman King 2021. Finally, because the manga it was based off ended abruptly, the new series also ends suddenly. Not even a post-credit scene to tease the superstar or pointing fans towards the manga or anything. The thing is, Shaman King is cool, period. A pacifist protagonist, its world scenario, a multinational, multicultural Shonen Jump story was and still is a rarity. Being a Millennium-era series, its cultural references are far from perfect, but I believe it was well-intentioned and well-researched, so you have this series that people my age all thought was very interesting, but the poor thing just could not catch a break. With Bleach and JJK being mega hits, one can't help but wonder if Shaman King was simply too early or something like that, or if Yo's pacifist nature was just never going to work for a shonen battle anime. Back to Flowers before we wrap up, I quite enjoyed the sequel story before I hit that painfully abrupt ending. The differences couldn't be more clear between Yo and Hana, and the story proved that there is an endless well of concepts for this world. Hana having that demon form, a battle royale among the gods, a World War II pilot as an edgy teen spirit ally. I loved how much Flowers ended up being about family dynamics, Hana's relation to his parents, to his cousins, Yo and Hao's ongoing evolving brothership. Hao believed Yo was too optimistic and a fool for thinking humans could move beyond war. Hao seems to be proven right throughout the events of Flowers. I like the series showing that family dynamics are constantly evolving. You don't have a singular arc in your relation to your brother, your parent, your uncle. Things change. Key events redefine your outlook and your relationships. I want to experience the Superstar, part 3 in the core Shaman King story, but given the series' terrible luck over the past 25 years, I'm not holding my breath for an anime adaptation anytime soon. Of course, let me know what are your thoughts on Shaman King, on Flowers. Did you know about the sequel series? Did you watch the original back in the day like I did? Are you a manga reader who's read all the way through the Superstar? Maybe you've only heard the banger English theme song. Whatever the case, I want to hear from you in the comments. Thanks for watching. My next video will be my review of the new Digimon The Movies collection that compiles the first 3 Digimon films, gives them uncut dubs for the first time ever, and contains the OG Fox Kids version with all the pop punk and ska music you remember. If you're still watching, you probably enjoy my takes on 2000s era anime, and so you might like my original novel, Monster Revolution. It's over 200 pages of monster taming adventures inspired by anime like Digimon, Monster Rancher, Metabots, etc. It's on Kindle and Kobo. You can get it digital for $10 or $20 for the physical paperback edition. A ton of great reviews so far, and it really is my love letter to this genre that we grew up with. I'll put links to where you can read the first 20 pages and pick it up if you're interested. Thanks again for watching. Take care. See you in the next video.